Just a gentle reminder for you to check in with yourself from time to time. I sat here this morning down by the river recording something. I realised midway through I hadn't done that. Much of what I'm saying didn't really make sense. I thought, well, I can't really share that with anybody because I don't even know where I am. I had to take a moment just to think about that. And when I did, I started to realise, actually, I feel a bit disempowered. That's the best word I can use. I thought, why is that the case? And I remembered there's a thought flying around in the back there somewhere that says, you're not good enough. Someone or something needs to change for you to be good enough. And the reason I don't notice that one sometimes is because that's a story. It's been a story for me for such a long time that most of the time I can see it when it starts to creep in and I start to have these ideas of, oh, maybe I should be doing this differently because everybody else is doing it that way, and because I'm not doing it that way, it means that there's something wrong with me. And when I lose sight of that, it creeps in uninvited. I don't notice, and all of a sudden I sort of find myself feeling a bit, ugh. Oh. What's going on here? Like I've been walking for half an hour and all of a sudden I've realised that my shoes are too tight because I haven't paid attention to the fact I've put the wrong pair of shoes on. It's kind of the same thing. And there's this idea that we have to have everything worked out and be perfect all of the time. I don't know who propagated this idea, but it seems to be prolific everywhere these days. Everyone claims to have the answer to everything, and no one does. I don't care who you are or where you are in life. There is something that you do not know. There is something that you will find difficult relative to someone else. And the value of being in a community, the value of being surrounded by other people with different stories and different perspectives is that we can lean on those people with questions, words of support. Or we can ask for words of support. But because, certainly in the Western world, community is not what I would describe as flourishing, let's say, trying to find a diplomatic way of saying it, we don't have people to lean on. We don't have people to go to that we can ask those questions that may have walked the path before us. And so we have to resort to the internet, videos like this. And for me, that's really important because you may be living in a part of the world where you just simply don't have access to people who are able to remind you that life is perfect in its imperfection, that there is no answer to every single question that you can ever have, and sometimes it's the asking of questions that causes the problem. But also, many of us are surrounded by people who just aren't okay with not having an answer to something. They aren't okay with silence. They aren't okay with unknown. And I think of that as the disease of the modern age. It's not sitting at a computer all day or sitting on your bum all day. It's feeling so disconnected from life. It's feeling so disconnected from the people around you. And life is always here for us. We just so seldom allow it to come in. And I thought that when I was sitting down by the river, I thought this river is always here. Regardless of what time of the year I come, what the weather's like, how I feel, that river is always flowing, and it's always ready to continue flowing as I sit there and witness it. as is the wind, as is this field I'm walking through, as are the trees. And there are people around us who don't know how it feels to be received, to be heard, to be accepted. And I find that, well, I find it somewhat tragic, but also it troubles me because that's been my experience for most of my life. I wasn't surrounded by people who had any desire to understand me. They wanted to give me labels or fix me or tell me their problems or stories, but had no interest in mine. And that's a terribly lonely place to exist, and the majority of the journey I've been on has been motivated by the desire to come out of that, but also to ensure that as few people as possible find themselves in that situation, which these days seems like an impossible task. But it's a task I have to undertake nonetheless, because I feel compelled to. And so I want to remind you, if you feel isolated or alone, misunderstood, unheard, invisible, then unfortunately you aren't alone. There are many people out there who feel just the same as you. But my words to you is not to dwell in that, not to make it part of your identity, not to say, my name is John or Steve or Beth or Shane or any of your names, saying, my name is John and I am stuck, I am depressed, I am alone, I am sad. To acknowledge that you experience those things, but they don't have to define you. And also to remember that whilst I'm openly conducting the things that I do for the purposes of my own income, like this is my business venture, this is the thing I'm committed to. These videos are absolutely free and they always will be. And as much as I can, I'll keep the adverts away because that's the last thing you need. So, and I'm not the only one in the world who's doing this, by the way. There are millions of other people out there. It's just a question of finding them. But I do think it's important not to get caught up in the worldview that says there is no one out there that will understand me, because that's not true. It's not true. And as I find better ways to express the things I've learned along the way, I'll share them with you for sure. But for now, the best I can do is get myself out and keep myself moving, because movement for me does prevent some of that stagnation which I may be prone to in moments of uncertainty, and to take you along for the journey, because, well, you might not be in a position to do that. You might be in a city where there isn't a lot of green space. You might be in a part of the world where it's not even practical to travel. I don't know. And that's one of the great things about having the internet, is it allows you a semblance of connection. And my hope is for any of you out there who need slightly more than that, is that you'll take the courageous first step and reach out. I know that the first step is the hardest. It's the hardest step of any part of the journey, is having the courage to say to yourself, I'm not where I want to be, and I may not have access in this moment to the resources that allow me to do anything about that. So I'm going to put myself in front of the person or people that may be able to. And if I happen to be that person, then I am absolutely dedicated to supporting you in that sense. But if nothing else, I can offer a perspective that may give you a break in the clouds, that may help you see that perhaps everything that seems so fixed has a degree of flexibility to it. And if you lean into that flexibility, you'll discover, as I have, much of what we hold to be true is in fact subject to change. And it may not be the case that change can arrive instantaneously, but it's not really the point. Like, you're going to be here for a good few decades, so why not start the journey now of leaning into that space of possibility that things could be better or different? And the more you lean into it, the more of it you have access to. And that's incredibly valuable. And then when you have moments like I have today where you temporarily lose sight of that, you just take a pause, check in with yourself, come back to whatever it is that you call a centre, and wherever that happens to be for you, and then continue on your way. And you keep doing that until it becomes so firmly established in you that those moments, rather than being weeks or months, as they were for me, become days or hours, sometimes even minutes. So give that some thought. Check in with yourself from time to time. Do it now, if you have the time to do so. And if you're ready to take that step, do reach out. And if not, that's okay as well. Give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Exercise some kindness to yourself. And perhaps I'll see you on the next one.